Now, everyone, I'm eating, so forgive me. I don't care. I don't have time to all do the editing and find place and time. When it's on my mind, it's on my mind. I gotta get it on, record something. Now, look, regarding flat Earth and regarding people's immediate dismissal of it. Anyone who's given any of this any thought to why people are so triggered to dismiss it, and they get emotionally upset even because, and they don't realize this is why, I don't think, because it's not like we're telling them, we as in flat earthers, that they're wrong or anything, because it's like, dude, hello, I'm 35, and if you're wrong, that means I was wrong for 33 years of my life. But I don't feel wrong for believing in the globe. I feel a little tricked and used, you know? But I don't let it affect me in an emotional, painful way, because I don't see it that way. That is ego, okay? Ego, it seems like their ultimate weapon to me, because it's the one underneath. It's the one underneath that puts up the walls that we don't permit. They're walls that go up without our permission, and the ego gets upset. I don't know how many people even know anything about psychology these days, but listen to this. Sigmund Freud is the godfather of psychology and psychotherapy, okay? He apparently created, like this is, they say, he created the sit-down one-on-one therapy session. He was the first to implement and get good at that professionally. They call it psychotherapy. Psychopathy, or something like that. He's a 33rd degree Mason. Carl Jung, basically, at first his protege, a protege of Sigmund Freud, I have a high amount of respect for. But he is also a Freemason, okay? You gotta pick and choose your battles, folks. If you just say all Freemasons are scum, blah, 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 you can't do that if you want the truth, because there is truth in everything and everyone. You can take a little bit from anybody. So, look. Once I started realizing anxiety was wrecking all my friends, and even began wrecking myself, I definitely have it conquered by now, but the only anxiety I suffer is just typical stuff, nervousness, shock, trauma stuff. You know, when the world just shits on you, you're gonna get anxious because you're used to your habit. That's normal. You're used to your routine. Now, so I keep almost getting off subject. Sigmund Freud, he developed the model of the human psyche, and he split it up into 3 groups. One is the one you're born with, the only one you're born with, and he describes it as the id. It's ID. Some people get it mixed and say ID because that's a shortening word for identity, but it is not the identity at all. It's just the id. It's the basic needs of a human being. Like a baby. When you're a baby, the only things you want is to have your ass wiped, to eat, to piss, and to be loved and cared for and comforted. It's those primal needs that the id is all about. And the id never goes away. We always have the id. But the id, although its needs are primal, they are very easily met. So the next 2 to come can easily compromise with it. And these aren't conscious, folks. It's all very subconscious or unconscious. So, and then by the time you're age, like 5 or 6, that's when you'll begin to develop the ego. And this is speculation because I don't believe a whole lot of Freud anymore. I've grown way past that, and I discovered deception in it too. But I'm going to explain it as if I do believe it, because that's just the only way I can get it out. So, next comes the ego, which Freud says is basically the self. Once we're past age 2, age 3, age 4-ish, around there, we start to develop who we are. And it's because our parents and society and other, authorities of the world and life itself, and cartoons we watch, who knows? We take everything in like a sponge, okay? But by that age, we've developed the foundation of who we are. It's, when you build a house, you first level the land, and then you dig a hole, because the house needs a foundation to be on top of, to hold it sturdy. So the foundation is the self. And many people who went through trauma, like I've experienced some borderline personality with a friend, that foundation is wrecked, and it never, and then afterwards, because of a desperate need to survive, and through the trauma, they have to build on top of an already wrecked foundation, and for the rest of their lives, they will have a false self, an illusion of a foundation, basically. Okay, the self is very important to have in Freud's model. Next comes what he calls, and this is kind of what gives it away for me, what he calls the super ego. It is the literal perfection of self, the one that holds you up on a pedestal, believes in the society's laws, your parents' rules, your morals. It's there to remind you and make you anxious. See, okay, in Freud's model, the ego is kind of in the middle. It's the one making deals, because you'll have the id screaming, I fucking to get my rage out, and I need to scream, and I need to cry, and I need to eat, need, and you're in the middle like, oh fuck, this is literally how Freud's fucking model works. And the superego over here is like, well, I need to please this person. I need to get my homework done on time. I need to be a good role model. I need to obey the law and have these morals. I can't do this because it breaks my moral. It's like, break the fucking moral, break it. The whole cartoony angel on one shoulder, devil on the other. That's what the Freud thing is. Freud, for some reason, I think it's, now I know because he's a 33rd degree Mason, which probably means he's a sicko. The reason him and Carl Jung split up was because they had huge disagreements over the ego. Because Freud believed all our sexual drive was where we get our intellect. And doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound just like a baby blood drinking fucking Freemason, 33rd degree, 100%. God, so obvious now. It wasn't before, but he's the libido guy. He believes in the libido, okay? Carl Jung, though, he saw the ego as much more complex and not really some mediator. He split the ego into many parts, like the shadow, I think. The shadow, the anima, the animus, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into Carl Jung right now. I put him aside for a while because it seems so complicated, but then as I started discovering the deceptions in Freud's model, I started turning it on to him. But I was also listening to a lot of Alan Watts at the time, which was the best decision I've ever made in my life, because Alan Watts is the balance man. He is the man, okay? He kept my spirit open and listening and questioning things. Anyways, Freud, he developed the ego to be the ego that it is today. It's a weapon to hinder us and mislead us. We have developed, just like the traumatized child before the age of 2, we were coerced, mainly because of culture, being popular, being cool, fucking fitting in and blah blah, and having an opinion and being an individual. We have developed a false sense of self. That's what's happened. We have abandoned our true self through the ego and are living with a false sense of self, which is the ego. Now, I think in reality as well, the superego, I think he's spot on with the id. I believe Freud's id. You can't really screw that one up. It's so primal and basic. It would be the devil with the horns, in the cartoons. That one's basic, but the superego, bullshit. It's part of the ego is the ego, okay? This is a polarized world, folks. There's not three. There's not some mediator. The superego is our conscience. Not conscious, but conscience. C-O-N, science. It's your morals, dude. It's as simple as that. It's your empathy. It's what stops you from being a bad person, You gotta live with yourself at the end of the day, right? Anyways, this confusion, this model, this is the obvious part. Sigmund Freud, he died in 1903, dude. Why are we still using his model 120 years fucking later? This is psychology. This is the understanding of the human brain. It wasn't obvious enough that they don't teach us that right away in schools. We should be being taught who we are before we hit puberty, so we're prepared for puberty and all the changes and emotions that come with it. We're not prepared for any of that. None of it. Okay? How obvious is it now, with that in mind, that they are teaching us wrong? They are teaching us backwards. We should be learning about human beings, not all this bullshit. It's all propaganda. It's all propaganda. Math, geography, social studies, science above all. Propaganda. And the only truths that are in it are mere concepts that can be easily understood, that are a concept of the truth. It keeps it simple, so you never discover what it's really about. And then, as I studied and brainstormed, I always kept in mind Alan Watts and his theory of the ego. And I didn't want to believe it. It kind of upset me. In the same way that people get upset when I talk about this stuff, because they base their whole lives off of this indoctrination of theirs. Some people even have careers based off these indoctrinations, like teachers, for example. The guilt and the shame and the disappointment that must come with knowing that all your knowledge is for propaganda purposes, and you've believed it and spread the word and taught other people it. That is a lot of guilt, but you don't have to feel that guilt, because you are a victim like everyone else. Okay? Use that rage, that guilt, to be productive and change it. Learn. Change the way you think. Anyways, the ego. My whole point about explaining all this is because I've been trying to figure out a way to solve the disregard, the disconnect, the putting up of walls when you mention flat earth or any other conspiracy. It's not even about flat earth anymore. That's just the biggest one. It's the world we live on, okay? People who are flat earthers, they just believe in the truth. It's as simple as that. Okay? They're truth seekers, and they make a lot of mistakes because we're fed such bullshit. You're gonna make mistakes, but you gotta learn from them and move on from them. Take the hit. Don't make yourself think you lost credibility. Make people understand that credibility is very hard to hang on to in this area when people just expect you to know everything. They can't do that because they're the ones that are brainwashed to think that, oh, just because I said something this day, but then I learned from it and I said something different that day, it doesn't mean I'm less credible. It means that I'm trying and you're not. But people, even me, we get so upset when we're challenged, when our beliefs are challenged, okay? And the absurdity that comes with people who not even defend the globe. The people I'm around, they don't defend the globe because they don't know anything about the globe. They don't know anything about the world they live on. But they still get upset as if, just the way they're taught to. They ridicule me, call me uneducated, even though it's so obvious that I'm the only one fucking educating myself. And they put me down and persecute me. I've lost so many friends over this shit, dude. I've lost so much because of the way people treat me just for talking about it, okay? And it's because of this ego trigger that it brings upon an emotional response that is painful and scary. But that happens to me too. I'm not a prisoner of it anymore because I know that the ego is a hallucination. It is in the imagination. It is not real. But since we have been fed this concept that has kind of convinced our unconscious mind to believe it's real, we feed it. We feed it with validations and it gives back, but it is an entity. It is not real. We are feeding an empty void. And where that energy is really going, I don't know. Because it's not going to the ego, because the ego doesn't exist. Pain is part of life. Okay? Emotions, you might as well just consider emotions fear. Because we're all afraid to feel. Okay? We're in a society where it's teaching us to not be human. To not feel. We all know that. And men are the biggest victims there. And lately, women are trying to act like men, which is, they're basing it off a false concept as well, because men fell for the concept of, oh, I'm tough, I don't cry, I'm fucking emotionless, I know who I am, blah, 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 ooh, ah, and now women have seen that for a few decades, and then now they're like, well, maybe that's how I should be, I'll survive better. But that is still, you're basing, like, stop it, just stop. We've all been fooled. Don't try to be that type of person, that man, because that is a concept. Women and men both are equally as fooled. We need to learn from this and overcome it. Stop giving up. There's nothing to be afraid of, and that means a lot coming from me. With everything I know, all this scary shit, me seeking the truth is how I found God. No, I didn't shake the guy's hand, or no, he didn't have to sit down at the table with me. I prayed a few dozen times. And when I realized the earth was flat, I saw the magnificence of the creation of this world. I knew that it could only be by God's hands. I remember I used to say, when I used to defend the globe, I didn't know about flat earth or even consider it, so I guess I couldn't call it defending. But I'd be like, isn't it crazy, just trying to be intellect, isn't it just crazy wild how the earth is just a perfect amount of distance from the sun, to sustain life. From the Big Bang, we just stopped right where we needed to. Wow. What a this life is a miracle. We should embrace it. It's a miracle. I was right about one thing. It's a miracle, but guess what? Only God makes miracles, okay? It was perpetual design. There is no fucking chance from this Big Bang bullshit concept that we would just stop, okay? Magnetic pole or not. It is not because we're some equal distance from the sun. Well, I guess in a sense it is, but the sun is revolving around us, above us. We're not even moving in reality. The sun and the moon are the same size because they are the same distance away from the ground. Don't need to get into that right now. So I need help. Because this ego thing has got to go. People are slaves to it. They won't hear a word I say, and they trust their ego because they've been feeding it their whole life. Like, I want to call everyone cowards, but that's not it. It's just a lack of bravery, okay? When you call someone a coward, their ego goes, gets all mad. I'm not confused. Does it mean where you going means? Sorry. My bad. I didn't make the fucking English dictionary or fucking condense it and control it like it is. So, for lack of a better word, in fact, this is a better word. I don't think anyone's a coward. I just think they lack bravery. But you know what? Everything in life, you have to practice. You have to try. You have to take risks every now and then and make sacrifices. And you have to trust. Like I did tonight when I trusted my friend Dylan when he said, dude, just take these deliveries. We'll call it a night because it's negative 10 degrees out. You shouldn't be out there anyways. Just take these last deliveries. Chill out. Keep your job. Don't quit. And I trusted him. Everything inside me wanted to quit because this company fucking sucks ass. They don't have any care for their employees or how long they've worked there or how much they've committed. There is no reward. But I would have lost so much, and I'm very grateful that I trusted my friend Dylan. I'm grateful for him stepping up and talking to me. Okay, we gotta trust each other. You gotta trust me. I wouldn't be fucking doing this if I'm making it up. What the fuck? Not even a shill would fucking be putting this effort in. I know what I'm fucking talking about. I'm not saying I know everything, but to the point of where I am, I know a lot more than most people. Because I'm fucking brave enough to face this shit, and it's not scary in the end. Why? How? Because these people in control are parasites. They are so weak. The only reason they're in control is trickery. Trickery that they're implementing before we are even at the age of critical thinking. Just brainwashing us from the fucking moment we take a breath of air. Injecting us full of shit, shoving fucking propaganda in our face as soon as we fucking looking around curious. While our parents, brainwashed too, are validating it. That, no one chose that. It was forced upon us. So stop being so upset if you're wrong. We are all in this together. Do you understand that? No one's wrong if everyone has been fooled the same way. So stop crying about it. Stop being all fucking hopeless. And take the hand of your friend or your mother or the person you love and say, God damn it, we're in this together and we are not giving up. And we are gonna make our effort. We all need to make an effort. Just even something little. Wake one person up. Wake two up. Take time to learn something every day before we lose our ability to do that too. Because we're at the brink, folks. They're any day now. They might do it right when I'm done fucking recording and strip the internet from us. So do you see their agenda? They're trapping us in our homes, making us afraid, pushing us into hysteria, making us dumb so we don't know how to even grow a crop. Like, once they know that we're trapped in our homes and too afraid to leave, what are they gonna do? They're gonna turn the fucking lights off.
controlling them with the lies. Okay, I use the term sheeple a lot. I can always tell when I hit the targets, boy, I get the letters. How dare you call me a sheeple? That person wouldn't have wrote that letter if that person wasn't a sheeple. Because they would have known I wasn't talking about them, right? Only the person that the arrow hits gets angry. So the reason I'm telling you this, if you find what I'm talking about disturbing, I'm hitting you with some truth that is bothering you. It's really bothering you, and you need to look at it really closely, because it wouldn't be bothering you if it wasn't true. If it wasn't pinging on you personally with something that you know inside of you is not right, it's not going to upset you. And that's the truth.
If I say that the world is round, someone else says it's flat. That's where it's reported.